Chanyuan celestials must learn to forgive others. Xiefeng, March 25, 2011. Translated by Long. In heaven, there is no hatred. One who carries hatred can never go to heaven. I came from the lowest space of heaven, thousand-year world, where hatred doesn't exist. There are only happiness, joy, and freedom. The fungus plant of a morning knows not the alternation of day and night. The cicada knows not the alternation of spring and autumn. Our lives are so short, 100 years pass like a moment. We don't even have enough time to pursue happiness, joy, and freedom. Why should we waste our precious time on anger and hatred? We have established the second home, now new oasis for life, which is the transfer station from the earth to heaven. Everything in the second home will be copied and practiced according to the life in thousand-year world. Those who have lived in the second home for quite long time have more or less experienced the beauty of heaven. I told everyone by fact that as long as you follow my map to heaven, you will not only get at thousand-year world one day, you can go further to 10,000-year world and the Elysium world. You must forgive others, which is the minimum requirement to enter heaven. Nobody is perfect. We ourselves are not perfect. Therefore, we could not avoid hurting others or being hurt in our lifetime. If we think from other people's perspective and feel for them, and as long as we treat others with sincerity and we forgive others, the door of heaven will be open for us. Do not take the past to your heart, which will merely consume your energy and precious time. It is not worthy to fuss over other people's imperfection. Even if you take revenge, it is just a satisfaction of your vanity, which is no value and used to your life quality and its sublimation. So please do not try to be a hero because that will damage your spiritual growth, and you will be looked down by others. If you take revenge, that means you are very mean and narrow-minded and will not be able to get well along with others. If you forgive others, I will also forgive you. If you cannot love your enemy, at least you should not hate your enemy. If you cannot get well along with your enemy, at least there should be no fight. Please forgive others and all those who have hurt us. You can have a try. If you forgive them from the deep of your heart, you will be brightened up and have a clear mind, and the road forward will be much broader and you will have more beautiful future. So please listen to me. This is also the teaching of Jesus Christ and Buddha Sakyamuni. You will benefit a lot from forgiveness, which has been proved by many facts and my own experiences.
用心灵感应
Cultivate Telepathy. Shuefeng, March 24, 2007. Mom's voice is most pleasing and most secure. Moms will bring us safety, comfort, peace, luck, consolation, and hope. Babies know the voices of their mothers without thinking because they are capable of telepathy. Lying in the arms of Jesus is like lying in the arms of our mothers, and we need telepathy to feel all this. Holding the hand of Buddha Sakyamuni is like holding the hand of Mother, because we know that the kind and merciful Buddha will lead us to happiness instead of evil. We need telepathy to feel all this. Following the Prophet Muhammad is like following our own others, because he will risk his own life to fight against devils and help us. We need telepathy to feel all this. Listening to the teachings of Lao Tzu is like listening to the whispering of our mothers, because he is imparting wisdom to us and nurturing us. We need telepathy to feel all this. The universe is of Taiji structure. The sum of positive and negative energies is zero. Therefore, the power of good, however tremendous it might be, is counterbalanced by the power of evil. The acting force is equal to the reaction force, but the two forces run counter to each other in the same straight line. The greater your determination to find a way to the heavenly kingdom, the larger resistance you will encounter. You must be vigilant against the wise people or people practicing magical arts, because they are probably the mouthpiece for devils. You must watch out for people capable of communicating with psychic energy, because they will confuse your soul and bring you into a puzzling and chaotic world. You must beware of those who speak insolently, because they are sons and grandsons of devils. You must keep a distance from this consumed by jealousy, because they have an ugly soul. Do not wallow in the mire with evil persons, because they will pollute your souls and ultimately destroy your life. Do not allow yourself to be led by the nose as to what is good and what is bad. You must depend on your telepathy.
拓宽希望和幸福的空间，
Expand the space of hope and happiness. Xiefeng. March 4th, 2011. Translated by Tsong Long and edited by Care. When one's hope quenches, they will be in despair. Once one is in despair, a life of joy and happiness also goes away. One mother put all her hopes on her only son. Unfortunately, one day he had a car accident and died, and she was in despair. She was not so depressed and transferred all her hopes onto her other son. Unfortunately, when she was getting old, the other son died of an illness, and so she too was sad and in deep despair. A third mother raised 6 children, and when she became old, none of her children were willing to take care of her, and so she was also in the depths of despair. A nun who went from Europe to Africa never stopped adopting orphans. Wherever she goes, she always has about 20 children around her, so she never suffers from despair. When one is alone and friendless, it is easy for them to become depressed and in despair. But why will you become alone and friendless when the world is so big and there are so many people? Who has caused you to be alone and friendless? It is yourself and your narrow-mindedness. When we put all our hopes on marriage and a traditional family, once it breaks apart and we separate from our family members, we are doomed to suffer loneliness. However, if we do not put our hopes on marriage and a traditional family, but on trust in the greatest creator, the well-being of humanity, and the way towards paradise, will we still feel lonely? Therefore, loneliness and despair are not issues of reality, but issues of one's consciousness. One who is narrow-minded, selfish, and only treat his or her bloodkin as family, and one who has only put his or her hopes on a small range of people will most definitely suffer from loneliness and despair. The intention of getting married is also a misdirection of in thinking. The thought and behavior that put your happiness and well-being on a particular man or a woman will certainly cause you misery when that person leaves or betrays you. Please expand your space of hope and find more kin and close friends.
做不到平凡难以非凡，
It is hard to become extraordinary if you cannot be ordinary. Xiefeng. March 18th, 2012. Translated by Tsong Long and edited by Care. Ordinary means common and normal, that one does not have any special abilities or talents. Extraordinary means not common, but outstanding, that one has an extremely special or good quality. Most people are ordinary, but a few great people are extraordinary. The behavior of an ordinary person does not show any special qualities, and everything they do is very common and usual. But one who is extraordinary demonstrates uniqueness and distinction, and their behavior is special. Everything about the ordinary is foreseeable. However, that of the extraordinary is often hard to understand or describe. The ordinary is like a flower on the meadow, while the extraordinary is like a blooming exotic flower on the cliffs. In ordinary, there is extraordinary. Extraordinary comes from ordinary. Without ordinary, there is no extraordinary. Ordinary is the foundation. Extraordinary is the building on it. Ordinary is the solid vast land. Extraordinary is the vegetation and flowers growing on the land. Ordinary is being down to earth. Extraordinary is flying above the clouds. One who is extraordinary must first be ordinary. If they cannot be ordinary, it is difficult for them to become extraordinary. Without materials such as oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, cabbages, carrots, and other ordinary substances, we cannot cook delicious meals with combinations of excellent flavor, aroma, and color. If we are not familiar with the original state of something, We will be unable to have a unique thinking with distinguished insights and solutions that are unconventional. Jobs such as sweeping, washing clothes, fetching water, applying fertilizer, growing grass, planting flowers, growing vegetables, carrying bricks, cooking, and the like are very ordinary. However, one who has no experience with ordinary jobs or does not strive to deliver first-class quality is far from reaching the state of the extraordinary. One who has too many weeds in their soul garden, such as jealousy, selfishness, laziness, greed, or is quick to complain, compare, and get angry, will never experience the joy and delicacy of life. An amazing article does not use special words, and a great man with excellent quality only shows his nature. If an article uses flowery language and has many ambiguous new words and concepts, it will be very superficial and will lack the necessary connotative meaning. If one tries to show their uniqueness by their way of dressing, talking, and behaving, but is not willing to do the smallest and the most menial job, then they are superficial and do not have precious qualities inside. One who wants to become extraordinary must work hard on things that seem ordinary. If one wants to write a good article, they must work hard on plain words. If they want to cook a wonderful dish, then they must work a lot with oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, other spices, and the proper amount of heat. One who wants to win a Nobel Prize needs to work hard on basic research and tests. One who wants to be a great man of the time must work hard on the daily ordinary jobs. If one cannot deliver excellence on the ordinary and only wants to pursue special behaviors and performances, they will never reach the extraordinary. Taking off the business suit and sweeping floors, carrying manure, moving bricks, digging soil, growing grass, and washing dishes will help one advance toward the extraordinary. When one is able to deliver excellence while they are still a human, they will become a celestial. But if not, they will never realize that dream. You should spend your precious time on ordinary, basic things and not to try to avoid them or strive to be outstanding. Do not attempt to surprise the public and amaze the world, but rather be happy just to do ordinary jobs and be an ordinary person. You should learn common knowledge and do not look for special methods and read special books. Behave normally, eating, drinking, working, and sleeping. Do not attempt to violate the laws of nature. Only then can we gradually move away from the ordinary and toward the extraordinary.
不惜赤子心，
Let us not stop a childlike heart. Xiefeng. December 25th, 2014. Translated by Zonglong, Ailian, and edited by Kair. When we walk on this way, the way of the greatest creator and the way of life Chanyuan, we are destined to devote ourselves to the land that gives birth to us, to humanity, to nature, and to all other lives. By giving out everything we have, we will achieve perfect souls, noble characters, and the life wealth which qualifies us to enter into heaven. All saints and sages have taught us to give up ourselves, no ego. Because of this no ego, we will not fight with others, we will not get hurt, and we will not have worries or fears. We shall not only devote our wisdom and material wealth to humanity and nature, but will also give our flesh and blood. We return to Satan that which is Satan's, and to the greatest creator that which is the greatest creators. We give back that which we owe to others and pay off the debts that we owe to Mother Nature. We have left ourselves only with perfect hearts, intact hearts with love. Let love be our guide towards higher level spaces. Let us love people around us, love life, love nature, love our nation and all other nations, love society, and love all those who hurt us. No matter what we have been through, let us not stop a childlike heart, and let us not stop a loving heart. We shall never complain, and our minds shall never be poisoned with hate or revenge. Even as we face death, we shall never let our love extinguish. We will accept it with joy instead. We only measure if we are good enough, and we do not judge society and others. We are wrong when we think others are not good. We should ask ourselves whether we are good enough. We are wrong when we think others hurt us. We should reflect back and ask ourselves if we hurt others. This is not merely psychological victory. We are not going to escape the reality and contradiction. This is not cowardice, but is actually the character that ripe crops must have. Facing our hardships, we accept them calmly. Without experiencing bitterness or difficulties, how can our will and faith be honed and become stronger? A lark can only become a phoenix in the raging fire. Silkworms can only grow after they exfoliate, and they are not able to become butterflies without first being wrapped in cocoons. Hardship is a good thing, not a bad thing. Leave all the good things to others and to society, and let them enjoy the sweet fruits of our labor, which are irrigated by our blood, sweat, and tears. We do not care about our gains or losses, and we do not own any material wealth. We only pay attention to the wealth we accumulate in heaven. Where our wealth is, so do our souls reside. Where our souls reside will be the place to which we finally go. We value and revere life, but we are not afraid of death. In this human world, death is a phenomenon from which we can see Tao in its fairest form. Today when we live, let us live happily. Were we to die tomorrow, we should accept it with joy because death is where life is reborn. If we do not die here, we will not be born there. The most important thing is where we go next. When we have the quality of a heavenly life, how would we be afraid of death? We would look forward to it instead. So, we will neither fight nor resist. Everything is within the control of Tao. Anything appearing to show a complicated form are simple rules and laws of Tao. We face any situation with love, then we are walking on the way of Tao, and we will not lose anything. If we are against Tao, everything will become void and passing clouds that come and go. Who is stronger, and who is the winner? All are tragedies of the short-sighted. Those who are awake will not fight for victory in a flash moment. Let him do it if anyone wants to take something. Let him do it if anyone uses his force. Let him be the hero if anyone behaves strongly. Let us just be unrestrained and celestial, and see who is the one who will have the final laugh. Let us not stop a childlike heart, but treat everything with love. No matter what situations we have encountered, we shall hurt neither our ancestors nor our nation. We shall not hurt society, nature, or other life beings. It is up to the greatest creator to judge who is right or wrong, and it is up to Tao to assess our merits and faults. Let us just have an unrestrained journey and deposit our love in heaven. Let it go, and let all go. Do not attach to anything. Let nature take its course, and let us just follow Tao. Then we will eventually reach our destination, 为人生和生命导航. Navigating for Life and Life. Xiefeng. November 12, 2008. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. Glorious flowers in spring and solid fruits in autumn, heat in summer and cold in winter, season after season, the cycle has no end. Streams gurgling through the ages, ebb and flow are just like this since the ancient times. Looking up in the sky, it is forever the same. Looking down the trees and plants, they blossom and wither. So many things are long-lasting, evoking our admiration. Unfortunately, life is short. Life flies like a colt crossing a stream. Young and pretty yesterday, old and faded tomorrow, and the past tenderness went by like the running river. The happiness appears on the eyebrows is as transient as a fleeting cloud, hard to retain. Life, for all living things, is a tragedy. From the long human history, generation after generation, the reproduction has been ongoing and endless. But when focusing on a single organism, we find that everything is so short, like a flash in the pan, like a dream. Whether it was the emperors, the gifted scholars, or beautiful ladies, or all sorts of common people. Whether it was the ones with unmatched achievements, the extremely wealthy, or the unknown poor, they were all hurried passengers. In the end, all is void. When life shows its dark, mean, dirty, and hypocritical face, the course of life is a kind of unspeakable pain and anxiety and a tragedy. when life reveals its bright, noble, pure, and sincere face. The journey of life is so relaxed, satisfactory, happy, and joyful, and a comedy. But no matter how long the comedy plot can be staged on, life will eventually close someday, and will be the sad moments. Flowers will die, do what you may. Well then, what is left for us? What is the point of the things, people, achievements, principles once we were persistent in? Trials and hardships rush around. What do we gain in the end? What is the value and meaning of life? To turn the life tragedy into life comedy has been the dream earnestly pursued by the sages and saints. Throughout the ages, whether insignificant or great, ordinary or extraordinary people, they went wave upon wave and tried to unveil this ancient mystery, guiding the short life to reach the eternal shore, cloaking the joyful, splendid dress for the tragic life, extending the limited trip to unlimited broad life field. Unfortunately, from the ancient Greek philosophers to the Oriental saints, from the Indian gurus to the Western masters of spiritual practice, none of them has offered us a convinced, complete picture. Even the great Buddha had not illustrated all. The Holy Christ did not give us a clear path either. Thousands of years of human tragedy urged us to continue exploring and trekking along the path taken by our ancestors. Where is the path best life path leading to heaven? What will be sight at the end of life? Life is a journey, no matter how we reincarnate, even reincarnate 1,000 or 10,000 times in the mortal world. If our memories are one, then our life in the mortal world is only but one time, not knowing our previous life or our afterlife. How do we connect to the previous life and afterlife, and what is the significance? Only those who clearly understand their past and can see the future are leading a sensible life. And only such people can turn tragedy into comedy and enter to the realm of freedom from the realm of necessity to enjoy wonderful taste and splendid style in the journey of life. Over the mountains and across the rivers, when can we enjoy the dense willow trees and bright flowers? At the vast expense of the sea, what direction is the best course? With no goals and directions, how can we get out of the confusion? When we rack our brains for the temporal loss and gain, for possession, and when we feel anxious and sparing no efforts for holding all the possession, are we missing the best time of life and delaying the big things of life? The human tragedy lies in that each of us has life, but by the time when death comes, we are still unclear about what life is after all. Heaven is not far away ahead. Regrettably, people cannot see it. It is not only is the tragedy of the lost, but also the pain and sorrow for the clear-minded. Through the efforts of thousands of years, particularly with the guidance and teachings of Jesus Christ, Shakyamuni Buddha, the immortal Lao Tzu, Prophet Muhammad, and sages and saints, we finally walked out of the long night to see the dawn of light, and we finally can point a clear path for the value and meaning of life, and a clear future for life. The meaning of life is to pursue happiness, joyfulness, freedom, and blessing. Anything meeting this standard is correct. Anything goes against this standard if confusion and pain. The value of life lies not in what we can obtain and possess in the mortal world, but in sublime the quality of life, improve the non-material structure, ultimately attain immortality. Life is a short trip of life in the mortal world. Life comes to the mortal world is determined by the gravity of each individual life. This gravity, for the public, is made up of debts. For special figures, is decided by missions. Human beings, once have paid off the debts and have lived by as the greatest creator wills, by following the nature, and the nature can lay the foundation for going to heaven, the thousand-year world, or the Elysium world. The future of life depends on the thinking and doing of life journey. Where we move our steps, where we will go.
开心快乐自由幸福之含义
The meaning of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing. Shuefeng, December 1st, 2009. The greatest creator has created man so that man can enjoy the joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing of life. Man is conforming to the will of the greatest creator and is following the way of the greatest creator if he enjoys the joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing of life, and is thus thankful to the greatest creator for this. The main value and significance of life is the pursuit of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing, the full enjoyment of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing on the journey of life, and consequently the love for life, for nature, and the gratitude for others, and the cultivation of the morality of man. The meaning of joy is a happy, pleasant, refreshing, and bright mood, without worry about trifles, without gloominess, anxiety, and fear, and a feeling as if the budding of flowers in the warmth of spring, the murmuring of limpid stream, the pleasantly warm sunshine, and the twittering of flying birds. The meaning of happiness, a feeling of satisfaction, pleasantness, comfort, and sweetness, without trouble, suffering, complaint, and hatred, as if one is among the riot of flowers, where the butterflies are flying around, the dragons and phoenixes are presenting auspiciousness, and the two sexes are in great harmony. The meaning of freedom, a state in which one is free from any bondage, obstacle, fear, birth and death, honor and disgrace, fame and gain, worry, debt, and enmity, and in which one is unrestrained and follow the predestined relations. The meaning of blessing, a state in which one feels serenity, auspiciousness, elegance, and contentment, in which one is not disturbed by noise and overworked by official correspondence, and in which one is not worried about livelihood and future, and in which one reaches all thing with consciousness and masters everything with wisdom. The effective way for the attainment of joy. Open your mind, without any reservation and cheating, to the greatest creator, God, Buddha, relatives, friends, and the society. The effective way for the attainment of happiness. Content with your own lot, unselfish, free of ego, impartial, and diligent. The effective way for the attainment of freedom. Reverence and esteem for the greatest creator, God, and Buddhas, adherence to laws and regulations, and free of debts. The effective way for the attainment of blessing, unconditional giving and unselfish devotion. Having understood the meanings of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing and mastered the effective way for the attainment of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing, you will most surely have a joyful, happy, free, and blessed life if you persevere and persist.
良心缺失的标志。
Conscience, the mark of the deficiency of conscience. 说风 March 19, 2010. Good conscience, as is suggested by its name, means a kind heart. Man is distinguished from birds and beasts in that man has a conscience. Without a conscience, a man is no different from birds and beasts. The real connotation of conscience. An invisible self-disciplinary moral court rooted by the greatest creator in the life structure of man to enable man to congenitally distinguish between right and wrong and good and evil. Conscience is the natural attributes possessed by man. Like the eyes of a person, conscience has nothing to do with a person's position, fame, property, appearance, age, gender, knowledge, and wisdom. Conscience is a natural norm to maintain the harmony between man and God, man and nature, man and society, and man. Once conscience is absent, there will occur a series of conflicts and contradictions between man and God, man and nature, man and society, and man. Whether a person has a good conscience or not will decide whether he has a good quality and taste. Conscience is an extension of nature of origin, which neither grows nor dies, neither defile nor purifies, and neither increases nor decreases, and which has no perception and thinking, no eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and ideas, no color, sound, fragrance, tastes and touch, no outlook and accordingly no consciousness, no ignorance and no end of ignorance, no death and no end of death, no destruction of Tao, no wisdom and no gain. With the conscience, there will be birth and death, filth and cleanness, increase and decease, perception and thinking, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and ideas, color, sound, fragrance, tastes and touch, outlook and accordingly consciousness, ignorance and end of ignorance, death and end of death, destruction of Tao, wisdom and gain. This is comparable to water, which has the same attribute all over the world, but will take on the attributes of solid, liquid, and gas when temperature changes. Conscience is an attribute rooted in the non-material structure of life. Different life forms have different attributes. The nature of man is originally the same, however, because of the difference in social environment and mechanism and the different sources of man and man are distinguished from each other in the different degrees of goodness of conscience. This is like a tree. Some of its leaves are covered with dirt and thus could not take on their own colors, while other leaves are clean and thus can show their true colors. Conscience is a person's self-disciplinary moral court, which exercises restrictions over his or her actions and words. Without the restrictions of this self-disciplinary moral court, the person may act willfully and stop at no evil, will act in a foolhardy manner and disregard justice, will swell in selfish desire and disregard reason, and will hurt nature and others by hook and crook. Guilty feeling has its source in conscience. Guilty feeling is the shame complex resulting from failure in a suit of self-trial in the self-disciplinary moral court. Without the trial of conscience, the self-disciplinary moral court, man will never have a guilty feeling. If everyone has a good conscience, all the constitutions, laws, statutes and regulations, and rules and commandments prescribed by the society will only be superfluous. Since some people do not have a good conscience, the society has no choice but to lay down constitutions, laws, statutes and regulations, and rules and commandments to exercise restrictions, and the society has no choice but to establish visible courts to exercise judgment of people's behavior. Perfect conscience is the symbol of a person's pure and beautiful soul. Since the structures of life forms at different order of life are different, whether a person has a perfect or deficient conscience can predict the future direction of this person's life. A person with a perfect conscience will undoubtedly walk toward the heavenly kingdom, and a person whose conscience is deficient will most surely walk toward the lower order of life, for example, the animal world or hell. Keep a good conscience, and you will be infinitely blessed. The symbols of deficient conscience. The following phenomena are the symbols of a deficient conscience. Insult and maltreat parents. Desecrate the greatest creator, God and Buddhas. Cause scourge to people's mind in the name of the greatest creator, God, Buddha, and Spirit. Insult ancestors. Abandon underage children. Requite kindness with enmity. Insult and attack teachers and masters. Punish one's own relations. Do not keep promises and contracts. Pollute the earth, the air, the river, the lake, and the sea. 11. Randomly fell trees and destroy grass and flowers. 12. Randomly maltreat and slaughter animals. 13. Cause damage to a developing embryo, destroy a bird's nest and a beast's den, and unearth other people's ancestral tombs. 14. Plunder others' property. 15. Steal, pilfer, rob, rape, oppress, exploit, blackmail other people, take advantage of others' precarious position, corrupt and accept bribes. 16. Extravagance and luxury. 17. Intrusion into private residence, forced and unauthorized entrance into private space. 18. Destroy others' homestead. 19. Lynching. 20. Lie, deceive, and swindle and bluff. 21. Launch indecent assault against children and entice children. 22. Make and sell fake medicine and food. 23. Plagiarize others' achievements. 24. Disseminate superstition, damage others' property, propagate monster and demons, poison souls. 25. Make colossal profit. 26. Give short measure and take substandard products as fine products. 27. Bully those who have no kin and cannot support themselves. 28. Instigate and abet others to contend, struggle, and rob. 29. Take away other people's favorite objects. 30. Purposely sabotage public property. 31. Force the good person into prostitution and shift the misfortune into others. 32. Help a villain do evil. Chuck one's weight about. 33. Make false testimony. 34. Expose others' privacy. 35. Restrict, hinder, and deprive others' personal freedom. 36. Laziness and greed. 37. Secretly stab the back. 38. Employ artful trickery to appropriate other people's properties. Conscience is the touchstone to test whether a person has a perfect soul, a watershed to test the fruits a person has achieved in self-refinery and self-cultivation, and the best proof to predict whether a person is entitled to walk toward the heavenly kingdom. Keep a good conscience, and you will be infinitely blessed. Abandon the good conscience, and you will be plagued with disasters.
莫让妒忌蒙领眼。
Do not let jealousy hoodwink the spiritual eye. 说风
Septembre 2026-2007.
Man has 6 perception systems: vision, hearing, olfaction, taste, touch, and spiritual perception, through which man can perceive and understand the world around and the matter that transcends time and space. The fault with any perception system can render us incapable of completely understanding the real situation around us and in the universe. In another word, if we have lost vision, hearing, olfaction, taste, touch, or spiritual perception, then our consciousness cannot truly reflect the objective world. If our eyes are hoodwinked, we have lost our vision, and we can no longer see the infinitely colorful world. If our souls are hoodwinked, our spiritual perception is lost, and we can no longer distinguish between right and wrong, truth and falsehood, and good and evil, and we cannot see the non-material world, and even worse, we can no longer see the greatest creator. If we cannot see anything in the material world, it proves that our naked eyes have gone wrong, are blind, closed, or hoodwinked. If we cannot see anything in the non-material world, it shows that something has gone wrong with our spiritual eyes, which are either blind, closed, or hoodwinked. Everyone has spiritual eyes. Man is equipped with this program. Everyone has spiritual perception. The only difference is the sensitivity. The differences between the ignorant person, the laity, the mortal, the sage, and the celestial being lie mainly in the differences in spiritual perception. The more retarded one is in spiritual perception, the more closely he inclines toward an ignorant person. The more sensitive one is, the more closely he inclines toward a celestial being. To open the spiritual eyes and restore the spiritual perception is the main means by which we move toward the higher order of life through self-cultivation and self-refinery. How can we open our spiritual eyes? The teachings of Jesus Christ and Buddha are the talisman to open the spiritual eyes, and the greatest creator, revelation, wisdom, and unconventional thinking. Note, they are chapters of Chanyuan corpus, are the stepping stones to open the spiritual eyes. How can we restore our spiritual perception? Spiritual perception is itself like a mirror, which does not need us to add anything to it. We need only be diligent in wiping the dust off it. Where is the dust? What is dust? How can we wipe off the dust? What has hoodwinked our spiritual eyes? If our six senses are not clean, it will be difficult to open our spiritual eyes. The six senses refer to eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. That our six senses are not clean means that we have evil in our mind, which prevents us from seeing what we should have seen but allows us to see what we should not have seen, which prevents us from hearing what we should have heard but allows us to hear what we should not have heard, and which prevents from contemplating what we should think over but allows us to contemplate what we should not have thought over. Thus, Buddha warns us to maintain a correct way of seeing, hearing, and thinking. Why is there evil in our mind? Buddha tells us that it is caused by 5 toxins. What are 5 toxins? Greed, anger, infatuation, slander, and suspicion. The Chinese idiom addiction to 5 toxins is understood by some as eating, drinking, whoring, gambling, and smoking, and by some as cheating, hoodwinking, swindling, abduction, and theft. In fact, the 5 toxins should refer to greed, anger, infatuation, slander, and suspicion. The 5 toxins are the dust that should be wiped off frequently.